Welcome today. My name is Tina Bishai. I'm the founder of Golden Healings. And today, if you joined me last week, I had mentioned that I'm going to be sharing some research articles with you that can provide us with any tips or tricks to help us with our children in any way possible. And today I'm excited to share with you something as simple as singing and how singing can help reduce stress for our children and also make them feel happier. So let's begin. So I wanted to share, I found a lot of articles on this actually, but I'll share one in particular with you. But in general, the neuroscience of singing shows that when we sing, our neurotransmitters in our brains connect in new and different ways. And so what ends up happening is singing fires up our right temporal lobe. That's the part, the side of our brain that it helps to fire up. And what ends up happening is that singing releases endorphins and it helps make us smarter, healthier, happier, and even more creative. And what ends up happening actually is when we sing with other people, that effect is amplified. So there are lots of studies that demonstrate that singing releases endorphins and even oxytocin. And so those are chemicals released in our body, which in turn relieve anxiety and stress, and which are linked to feelings of trust and bonding as well. Singing helps people with depression and reduces feelings of loneliness, and it leaves people feeling relaxed, happy, and connected. And what's more is the benefit of singing is actually cumulative. So people who sing regularly actually have reduced levels of cortisol, which indicate that they actually have lower stress, which I thought was kind of neat. So the research article that I found that I wanted to share with you is in an article called, in a journal called Music Perception, and it's in volume 27 in 2010. And there were researchers from Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center and Harvard Medical School, and they studied the effects of singing. And they actually had a special attention in one of the sections of the research article to its effects on kids with autism. So I want to share some of that information with you. In general, singing or the act of producing musical sounds with your voice has the potential to actually treat speech abnormalities because it directly stimulates the muscles associated with respiration or breathing, phonation, which is the production of speech sounds, articulation, which is the act of putting our ideas or feelings into words, and resonance, which is the quality of our sound being full and reverberating. And so the act of singing involves, relatively fast and strong inspirations followed by extended regulated expirations, as the research article shares. And it requires us to be regulated in order to sustain the notes. And it also results in a higher vocal intensity and vocal control than speaking does. And so it's been suggested that singing can actually increase your respiratory muscle strength. So I'll share some fun facts with you. So did you know that singing together in a group can actually bring heartbeats into harmony? And I mean literally. People's heartbeats end up synchronizing to the same beat and tempo. And this has been done for thousands of years in tribes around the world. And you might think, so what? What does that have to do with anything that our heartbeats get synchronized? It creates more unity. And so instead of the attitude of, I'm looking out for myself only, it creates a community whereby everybody is looking out for the other. And in effect, it's a more bonded community. So another fact, singing makes you happy because when we sing, our body releases endorphins and oxytocin, and that helps reduce our stress. And it's also linked to feelings of bonding and trusting. So it helps to relieve depression and loneliness. And I had mentioned before that if you sing regularly, the effects are cumulative. So research shows that people who sing regularly have reduced levels of cortisol, which indicate less stress. And then another great thing about singing is that it connects us to the right side of our brain, which is responsible for things like intuition and imagination and overall creative functions. And the last thing about it is that singing increases self-awareness, self-confidence, and our ability to communicate with others. In effect, it creates connection. So these benefits are free to all of us. They're accessible to all of us. We all have a voice, and we can all sing even if we don't think we can. And when you sing, the musical vibration moves through you, altering your physical and your emotional state. So let me share the specifics about autism in this research article. So they found that in 2 specific cases, singing helped develop speech in children with autism. And the great thing about singing is that people with autism often will have superior auditory processing abilities, and they'll often just love and have a strong interest in learning and creating music. So it's as if they inherently know already what's good for them. The other thing that the research article went on to talk about was a specific intervention, and it's called auditory motor mapping training, AMMT for short. And basically that is a specific intervention designed to help kids with autism to develop expressive language. And at the time of the article in 2010, it was being tested. But I want to share a little bit about it because I think that we can do this too. So it's known again as auditory motor mapping training, and the intervention involves 3 main components: singing, motor activity, and imitation. And those things all together, they engage our neuron system that is believed to underlie some of the communication deficits that some children experience in autism. So singing, of course, we talked about, engages bilateral frontal temporal network of neurons that helps more prominently than speaking does. And secondly, the motor activity they use is playing a percussion instrument like a drum. And not only does it capture the child's interest, but it also engages sensory motor networks that control the orofacial and the articulatory movements. And the sound produced by the percussion instrument may facilitate the auditory motor mapping that is critical to meaningful vocal communication. And then finally, this technique through imitation, through repetitive training, facilitates learning and alters the responses in the mirror neuron system. So with this intervention, I guess the key is it is turning on the auditory and the motor system. The auditory because the child is singing, the motor system because they're playing the drums at the same time. And the research article says that it may actually represent an effective therapeutic strategy which individuals with autism can improve their communication skills. So I wanted to share that with you today. I think it's definitely worth a try. I've heard a number of reports from parents that have used singing to help their child gain access to verbal communication. And you know what? If hitting a drum and repeating the songs and words helps, then why not? It's something simple that we can all try. And to our kids, it will seem like play. And perhaps we even join in with them and sing together for the benefits of us at the same time too. I know personally that my child loves singing. I hear her humming all the time to herself. And whenever I bring the drum out, she is in heaven. She just loves playing the drum as well. And you know, her happiness in that moment and her smiles, they're really priceless. So I encourage you to try it. Something simple we all have at our fingertips, we can all use, we can all do for our children, and we can join in with them and have a little fun together as well. So feel free to leave your comments below and let me know if you've tried this for yourself or your child and how it's worked for you. And I'll also post where you can read up on the research article below in the comments section. So thank you for joining, and I look forward to you joining me in a couple weeks, same time, Thursday at noon. Thank you. Bye-bye.